The most famous of the contactees from the 50s was a guy named George Adamski. And George Adamski basically claimed, I believe it was in 1952, that a space alien named Orthon from Venus sort of contacted him and said, told him that nuclear weapons were really bad. And Orthon apparently took him on a tour of the solar system. And as well, Orthon sort of told him that people were being reincarnated on other planets, notably Venus. And then 2 short years later, on the other side of the pond, in the UK, this guy, George King, he claimed a space alien named Aetherius talked to him. This was in 1954, and this space alien basically told him about the dangers of nuclear war and took him on a UFO and gave him a tour of the solar system and told him that people were being reincarnated on other planets, notably Venus. And the Aetherius Society kind of likes to pretend like he was a practitioner of yoga, and then one day he was contacted by space aliens. As we can kind of see from his history, he sort of had a family history of occult beliefs, and he was sort of a member of a cult society. And so it's not sort of too surprising that he at some point, in the 50s when UFOs became really popular, that he sort of got this idea in his mind. And one of the interesting features about the Aetherius Society is that they sort of have an answer for why are space aliens talking to former taxi drivers and truck drivers and things like this, and why aren't they sort of delivering important messages to Einstein or Stephen Hawking or something like that? And basically the Aetherius Society says that you have to sort of attain a certain heightened sense of awareness in yoga. So, and this guy George King was a big practitioner of yoga. So apparently, if Einstein had spent more time on a yoga mat versus in front of a blackboard, he would the space aliens would have contacted him.
Is that actually him?
Yes, that is George King, sort of his younger day. So as you can sort of see, sort of side by side, their sort of claims are very similar, with George King kind of always sort of following up a couple of years later. This was before the internet, so in the UK, George King could be making these claims, and a lot of people would think that they're not, that they're sort of original claims. And it's even though the contactee movement is a bit of a joke today, it seems quite plausible back, I guess, in the 50s. But both Adamski and King's story kind of actually sort of parallels Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951, which was about a space alien from a representative of the space parliament who came to Earth to warn us about the dangers of nuclear war. And so anyway, so when Terry told me that we were going to see this guy, his name was Alan Jagger, the head of the Toronto Aetherius Society, when he said we were going to see a man who, to this day, like in the 21st century, actually believes there are space aliens on Venus, I sort of thought to myself, well, who was the last person I can remember making a claim about space aliens from Venus? And I realized it was Exeter from Mork and Mindy. So I kind of, as if someone said, hey, there's going to be a train wreck at 2 p.m., do you want to go? This was, I have to see this guy who, actually believes there are space aliens living on Venus. And I pictured something like this. And as it sort of turned out, he wasn't kind of a guy in a dirty cassock. He was actually a very nice man, very well spoken, really well dressed. He had a tie I would buy, and so during this talk he sort of went on to tell us about what the Aetherius Society actually believes. And I've sort of put up some of their more bizarre claims. They're really big on Jesus is from Venus, and they quite insist on this. And they have this idea that you can charge batteries with prayers and then release them. That title screen you were watching for about a whole hour, sort of in the corner, the guy was sort of praying into a battery. And they also believe that intelligent fish on a planet called Garrosh are out to get us, or were out to get us. But all the wackiness aside, it was actually quite surprising how sort of nice they were. And they just had quite a reasonable message that, that a lot of times, your problems are your own problems. If you sort of read the sort of the alert about this talk, I do a podcast called Conspiracy Skeptic, and I'm always sort of encountering people who like to blame their problems on some evil cabal, and they never sort of accept personal responsibility. So it's kind of really nice to sort of see a society or a religion, I believe they call themselves a religion, that was sort of telling people that, that if you have problems, you have to sort of take a long look at yourself in the mirror, and that your problems are probably your own. And it's going to take a lot of hard work and service to other people. Just not your family. You should shovel your neighbor's driveway. You should drive old people to the grocery store. And they weren't sort of basically selling the sham wow of spiritual enlightenment. They were sort of saying, it's going to take a lot of hard work. I don't know if it's going to take a lot of hard work and money, but it's going to take a lot of hard work. But sort of not surprising to a UFO religion. I don't want to call them a cult, because I guess that's politically incorrect these days. But it's not surprising that a UFO religion actually believes in a lot of really bad astronomy. Like I say, this society was formed in the 1950s, and they kind of, around about the 60s or 70s, it seemed like they just sort of stopped paying attention to astronomy. So a lot of their ideas are sort of really set back in sort of what we thought about the formation of the solar system in the 50s and 60s. So they basically believe that an asteroid belt, it was sort of there was a giant planet like 5 times the size of Earth or the size of Saturn. That the asteroid belt was a planet, and then it blew up. And it blew up because there were these space aliens. The planet is called Maldek, and the Maldekians sort of were, experimenting with nuclear technology. They dug too deep for mithril or something, and it sort of blew it up. And then the space aliens, some escaped, and they came to Earth, and apparently we are Maldekians. Sort of like Scientologists who sort of believe, there are these souls on a volcano that blew up and now they're in us or something like that. And they also sort of believe that there's a planet X out there, which we've heard a lot about in sort of right up to 2012, but to them Planet X is kind of like, it's like a purgatory. It's sort of a way station for souls. And of course, there's sort of life on Venus and stuff like that.